Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the brand new Rad Power Bikes RadRunner 2, so let's get into it. Before we get started with the review, if you are looking to purchase any of the Rad Power Bikes models, please consider using the link in the description that takes you to Rad Power Bikes website. It's a free and easy way to support Ebike Escape. Thanks in advance. I will also put links in the description to our electric bike accessories list, top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page, where I track all the deals happening on the electric bike brands that I follow. With that, let's take a closer look at the RadRunner 2. You will note that this is the black version. It also comes in forest green, which I think looks really sharp. Rad Power Bikes slightly changed some of the design aesthetics with the RadRunner 2, just some very subtle changes. You can see we have the Rad Power Bikes logo over here in the rear, RadRunner along the rack, and we kind of have this gray on black for the branding. Now, of course, this is the second generation RadRunner, so they only made a couple of changes, and I feel like that's because they really got a lot of things right in the first generation. So the head tube angle is slightly relaxed, going to put you perhaps in a little bit more of an upright riding position. But I was comparing images of the first generation compared to the second generation, and the changes with the head tube are very subtle. The other thing that they changed is they added 15 millimeters of additional padding here in the seat. That's definitely something that you're going to appreciate, especially if you're coming from a first generation RadRunner. That's something I found that a lot of people had been commenting on, wishing that had a little bit comfier of a saddle. All right, so let's start up here in the front of the RadRunner 2. So we have the brakes that come on many of the Rad Power Bikes, of course, with the exception being the Rad Rover Plus and Rad City Plus, which have hydraulic brakes. But these are Tektro Aries mechanical disc brakes, component found on many electric bikes. I actually find that they're quite good, definitely better than some of the unbranded or no-name brakes that you find on many electric bikes. These are 180 millimeter rotors. As far as tires go, we have 20-inch by 3.3 inches wide tires. Now, if you're looking at other electric bikes with 20-inch tires, you may find 4-inch wide tires. I find that these are a pretty happy medium, not being super wide, that you notice increased rolling resistance. But with the 3.3 inches, it definitely adds some comfort. So I actually like this tire size quite a bit, and I really like the tread pattern on these Kenda tires. And of course, you have the reflective sidewalls. That's going to add some additional visibility at night. Speaking of additional visibility, we'll talk about this front light. So this is actually different than many of the models, and it actually has a off button, which is kind of interesting. I can't imagine that you would want to turn it off here because, of course, you do have a button on the controls in the cockpit. As I say, with many of these integrated lights, they're fairly good at allowing people to see you, especially at night. But if you are riding pretty frequently, I really like the rechargeable lights that you can mount on your handlebars, especially the ones with the flashing mode. I like running those in the daylight, just helps people see you much easier. And I do think the other light is a little bit brighter than this one. I really like the halo lights that Rad Power Bikes is using on their other models. I'm not sure why they didn't include it here, but something worth calling out. Now we do have the Rad emblem up front here, and of course, We have the mounting points for the front racks, and then you can put baskets, ton of different accessories. Now, one thing you should note if you are looking at the RadRunner 2, we do have a rigid front fork. If you want some additional cushion while riding, you might want to consider the RadRunner Plus, which is currently priced at $18.99, so $400 more than the RadRunner 2. The RadRunner 2, again, currently priced at $14.99. All right, let's talk about this cable management. Now, I've ridden many of the Rad power bikes. I've reviewed many of the models, and I think this is perhaps the best cable management that they've done. And I'm not sure if it's because of the unique handlebars, but they have this neoprene sleeve, which holds all the cables really nicely. And then of course they go into the bottom of the frame here, and then you have the brake as well as that light. But really appreciate them doing some cable management. Just makes for a much more clean look and still easy to maintain if needed. Moving on to the cockpit, again, I already talked about these Tektro mechanical disc brakes, but these levers are nice. They have a little grip there. And of course, I really like that they have the integrated bell here. Sounds really nice. We have black grips here. These are just rubber grips. If you want locking grips, those are a nice upgrade. Check out the video I did on the Ergon locking grips. Those are definitely a nice premium upgrade if you're looking to treat yourself. And next, let's talk about the LED display, not to be confused with an LCD display. So this is the same display that also comes on the Rad Mission. So very simple here, power button, and then you have your light button on and off, and then you have your walk mode, as well as your pedal assist up and down. Again, we have pedal assist 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 0 for off. So you hit the plus button to turn that up. And then you have 5 LEDs here for your battery indicator. Now you can purchase the LCD screen separately. That will run you $100. But if you want some additional information, I really like knowing my current speed. Of course, you can always use a phone app. Now, one of the unique things with these BMX style handlebars is you definitely have some space here to put a phone mount. You could put a light here. And of course, because these swoop, you might want to put your accessories down here. Moving on to the right side, we of course have a matching black grip, and then the Rad Power Bikes twist grip throttle, the twist grip throttle that comes on all of their electric bikes. And one thing to note, with these brakes, as soon as you hit the brakes, it's going to kill power to the motor. Definitely something to be aware of. I try to tell everyone that when they are riding electric bikes. I really like these handlebars. They put you in a really great riding position. You'll be able to get a sense of that in the third-person riding footage. But if you want to bring these back towards you, you simply can by loosening up this faceplate, bringing them back towards you, and then tightening them back down. So really like the handlebars. They look cool as well. Moving on here, we have mounts for bottle cages. So you can mount a bottle cage there. Very easy to access. Rad Power Bikes also sells a center console that goes here in the center. Now that does remove a little bit of the accessibility. Obviously, this is a very accessible electric bike with this low step over. I believe it is 16.5 inches, but I do think that center console looks really cool. I'll try to feature that in an accessories video coming up. Let's move on to the pedals. So Rad Power Bikes includes Welgo plastic pedals instead of the metal ones that come on many of their electric bikes. Definitely something that you could upgrade for increased durability, or if you want some pedals that simply look cooler. I have some that I recommend on my electric bike accessories list. Now this is the RadRunner 2, so we get the RadRunner 2 stamp here on the seat tube. Now one thing I wanted to make sure I pointed out, so these are external components. You can see we have the 48 volt, 14 amp hour battery right behind the seat tube here, but then you have the controller mounted below the frame here, and they have a nice bash guard so you don't have to worry about damaging that. Definitely a well thought out protection underneath here. Now you can't see it because I have the battery installed, but there are some cables nestled down underneath here behind the battery, of course, to connect to the controller. Now, because this is more of a moped style electric bike, has this beefy rear rack, they opted for this dual kickstand, which I really like. Feels very solid. In my experience, it doesn't bounce around at all. And of course, it won't come in contact with the pedals. That's of course going to keep the bike much more stable than a traditional kickstand, but you do just want to be aware if you're loading the bike up with heavy loads with this kickstand, because obviously it's not made to take the same weight as the bike, especially if you're loading up children. Just want to be careful. Now, I already mentioned the seat, 15 millimeters of extra padding here. This is a very unique seat, proprietary to Rad Power Bikes. You can see it has the Rad Power Bikes branding. Now, what's really cool is you can lower this completely down, and if you buy the rear passenger pack, it kind of blends right in nicely here with the seams. Of course, you can also raise the seat, which is a very unique feature. You simply don't see that on many moped-style electric bikes. So you can get full leg extension, or if you really want to ride it more of like a moped-style electric bike, you can simply bring the seat down. And again, if you're using the rear passenger pack, they kind of blend together, giving that more moped-style look. Now I will go ahead and remove the battery here. You do want to make sure it's in its leftmost position. That's going to be unlocked. Now when I first got the bike, I thought that it would be pretty difficult to remove this battery, but after a few attempts, it's actually not too terribly hard, and you can do so with the seat still attached. What I like to do is use both hands and simply slide it up, and you can slide the battery out like that. Again, 48 volt. 14 amp hour pack here. There's a closer look at those cables that I mentioned earlier, tucked nicely underneath. And you do want to make sure you are removing the battery on this side of the bike, because of course you have the chain on the other side. Turn it to the right to turn the bike back on. Let's move on to the rear of the bike. Again, Tektro Aries mechanical disc brakes here. Now, what is interesting is Rad Power Bikes has changed the side that the motor cable goes on, at least on some of their electric bikes. Definitely a lot more protected going in between the disc rotor and the dropout. There's a closer look at the 750 watt peak motor, the motor that they use on many of their electric bikes. You'll get a sense of the power of this motor in the upcoming first-person riding footage. Now, one of the highlights, of course, of the RadRunner is this rear rack. Definitely longer than you see on many electric bikes, but not as long as the one you'll find on the RadWagon. I really like that they continue to put the Thule Maxi window here. You can buy that child seat, fits nicely in here, no other accessories needed. And this rear rack is rated at 120 pounds, so definitely can put some lighter weight adults back here, and of course children. And where the RadRunner really shines is using the passenger package. You get pegs, you get the skirt guard, and it just makes the bike much more versatile. But you can also put the Rad Power Bikes baskets back here. Basically, you can outfit this electric bike to suit your needs. And since this rear rack is integrated right into the frame, you don't need to worry about rerouting this internal rear light. Definitely doesn't add a ton of visibility during the daylight, but I find at night it's actually fairly decent. I'll go ahead and turn that on. So the light's on. Not sure if it's going to show up in camera correctly, but the light is solid on, and then when I push the brake lever, it does go brighter. Now, one of the unique things about the RadRunner 2 is that it is a single speed, so I talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming first-person riding footage, but that's also something to be aware of. Again, the RadRunner Plus does come with 7-speed gearing, so something to consider if you're looking at various models. You do have this guard here to protect the tensioner, so that's nice. And I talked a little bit about the passenger pegs, but if you do get the passenger package, this is where they attach. Again, I will try to do a full accessories video on the RadRunner so you can see how you might want to outfit this electric bike if you're looking to purchase it. They also sell plastic fenders if you want to put those on as well. Okay, that concludes the walk around of the RadRunner 2. Let's get to some first-person riding footage. I'll talk about the various pedal assist levels. We'll take it up the hill, and then in the conclusion of this video, I'll give you my final thoughts on the RadRunner 2. Let's get started with the first-person riding footage on the RadRunner 2. Firstly, I will do throttle only, and then I will go through the various pedal assist modes to help give you an idea of what you can expect with the various pedal assist modes with this single-speed drivetrain. I do have the pedal assist on 0. You do have access to the throttle right away. So let's do throttle only. Got the GPS speed here. This is the speedometer app by Coolnix. Nice flat ground here. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, throttle only. 3, 7, 10, 12, 14, 15, 17, 18, and there's 20 miles an hour. Keep in mind, this is a class 2 electric bike, so 20 miles per hour is going to be that top speed. Now, one of the questions that I get a lot on the electric bikes that I review is, can you pedal whatever electric bike I'm reviewing with no power? Say something were to happen, maybe your battery runs out. I hope that never happens to you. But pedal assist is currently off, and I am pedaling. I would say I am still pedaling at a leisurely pace, but it is definitely a slower cadence just because, again, the single speed gearing is meant to be used with the motor. But I'm going 7 miles an hour, and I could do this for a long time. Of course, if I wanted to, I could pedal a little bit harder, but then I'm getting a lot more of a workout. There's 10 miles an hour. So hopefully that helps a little bit. The biggest challenge, of course, is going to be climbing hills with the single speed drivetrain without the battery. Anyway, let's go through the various pedal assist modes. I'll go ahead and go into pedal assist 1 here. Again, like all rad power bikes, nice and easy on the motor, not going to jerk you or anything like that. Really like that. Actually, that's one of the reasons that I recommend rad power bikes so much, is because their bikes are very accessible to people new to electric bikes. So pedal assist 1, again, leisurely cadence, going about 8-9 miles an hour, can just kind of barely feel the motor. I mean, it's definitely helping, but not significant. And of course, we have up to 4 here. Let's go ahead and go into 2. Feel it kick in a little bit there, but again, not too crazy power with these modes. But I am getting much higher on speed here. 13 miles an hour, 14. Pedal cadence definitely a little bit faster here. Okay, let's go ahead. There's 16. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 3. Definitely felt a little more of the power there. My legs are really spinning, and I think I'm going to hit that 20 miles an hour. And there's 20 miles an hour, even in pedal assist 3. So that's very interesting. So this is probably what I would personally ride this bike at. Pedal assist 3, cruising around town, flat ground. Now, of course, pedal assist 4 is going to be nice if perhaps you're going up a hill, which we will get to the hill climb test in just a second. But maybe what I'll do is I'll come to a complete stop here and go into pedal assist 4, and we'll just see how much faster I feel this motor kick in. Yeah, definitely feel the motor there going from a dead stop to 4th pedal assist. And obviously we're going to hit that 20 miles an hour, and then the motor is going to cut off. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what you can expect pedaling the RadRunner 2 on flat ground. Now let's get to the hill climb test, the hill we take up all of the electric bikes that we review, and see what the RadRunner 2 can do. Okay, here we are at the bottom of the large hill that we test out all of our electric bikes so you can compare and contrast. And as I film this, it is end of January, so we're in the thick of winter. Still pretty cold, but got a decent day. So we're gonna take the RadRunner 2 up the hill. We'll put on the screen the specs of the hill because it looks much smaller on the GoPro than it actually is. Got the speedometer here. And first test is going to be throttle only, hitting that 19-20 mile per hour mark before we get to the hill here. Now, I am very confident that this bike will make it up, and we'll see what the minimum speed is here, and then I will go up the hill while pedaling. $15 miles an hour, 14. There's 12, 11. That might be close to the minimum, we'll see. And I have to admit, I did drive my vehicle over here to this hill because you just don't know what you're going to get sidewalk wise in the snow. And it's still pretty cold. High of 25 today, but with the wind going at speeds, it is much chillier. All right, I think 11 miles per hour is going to be the minimum speed here on the RadRunner 2. Pretty darn good. Definitely more powerful electric bikes out there, but I think the RadRunner 2 can handle hills just fine if that's something that you are concerned about. Obviously, with the single speed, there's just more things to consider, but I think this test kind of proves even on some large hills, you can always use that throttle, even if pedaling isn't really feasible. All right, we're just about at the top. I'm gonna jump back down here, and then I'll go back up the hill again, and I will pedal, obviously in the one gear, and talk about what the bike can do. All right, here we go, hill climb test while pedaling. Just gonna give myself a little bit of throttle to get going, as I imagine most people will want to. So right now I am in pedal assist 1 and providing a lot of effort, a little bit of a challenge to get those pedals spinning. Let's go ahead. I would definitely ride in a higher pedal assist up this hill. Pedal assist 2, and again, really the steepest part of the hill hasn't started, but pedal assist 2, 8 miles an hour, still working pretty hard. And my knees are actually coming up quite a bit because I do have this in more of moped mode with the seat all the way down. There's pedal assist 3. That definitely feels a lot better. A little bit more of a leisurely cadence, but still getting a bit of a workout for sure. There's 9 miles an hour. And the hill has definitely started here. And yeah, I can definitely feel it in my legs a little bit here. Let's go ahead and go to pedal assist 4. Imagine that most people would want to use pedal assist 4 up this hill. And yeah, that feels really nice. Just turning the pedals, still providing some power, but definitely not quite as much. You can see I'm going 12 miles an hour. So using those legs is definitely helping a little bit. There's 13 even. So yeah, I would say pedal assist 4 up the steep hill feels really nice. Really comfortable, of course, saving some battery. But if you wanted to, you could throttle only. So yeah, I think the gearing on the single speed is pretty good, especially when you consider, riding on flat ground all the way, taking it up hills. Of course, there is a different option. You can check out the RadRunner Plus too. All right, with that, let's get to some third-person riding footage on the RadRunner 2, and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on this moped-style electric bike. The RadRunner 2 just screams fun. The BMX-style handlebars with the option to have a passenger just makes you want to get on this bike, lower that seat, and hit the throttle. It's an in-between e-bike in the Rad fleet, more versatile than the other models with the higher load capacity on the rear rack, but still smaller and lighter than the minivan of e-bikes, my favorite, the Rad Wagon. And more, the RadRunner stands in a class of its own of moped-style e-bikes. For one, it's more affordable than many moped-style e-bikes at $14.99, but it is also less powerful than its super-powered counterparts that fall into a more gray area of e-bike regulation. And let's be honest, a majority of riders are going to be just fine with the 20 mile per hour top speed. For those who want more speed, there are no doubt more powerful moped-style e-bikes out there for you. An added bonus worth reiterating is the adjustability of the seat, so you can actually be in a comfortable riding position with full leg extension. Like all Rad power bikes, this model is accessible not only with its step-through frame, but also the way it eases on the motor in the different pedal assist levels. This is the moped-style e-bike that a wide variety of riders will be able to enjoy safely. The single-speed gearing felt pretty good in my opinion. In a lower assist level, you're providing more of your own power, and with many e-bikes, not just single speeds, your legs start to spin a bit more with the higher pedal assist levels. And I thought I'd be longing for some additional lower gears on the hill, but I wasn't. Perhaps the only reason for more gears would be if you wanted to be able to pedal at a faster cadence in a lower pedal assist level and conserve the battery up a hill. And an added benefit of the single speed is there's no derailleur to maintain. The main change on the RadRunner 2 compared to the RadRunner 1 is the additional padding on the seat. This is such a personal preference, but I found the new seat adequate. Definitely not the most comfortable e-bike seat, but not the worst either. For me, I'd keep the stock seat on there if only for how well it integrates with the optional rear passenger pad. The RadRunner 2 packs a lot of similar features you'll find on other Rad models. The 14 amp hour Shark style battery, 750 watt peak motor, but I would have liked to see Rad include the LCD display on this model and also throw in the fenders. The only other model that has the LED screen is the Rad Mission, which currently is priced at a full $300 cheaper. And the Rad Mini at the same price includes both the LCD screen and full fenders. Plus it has a front suspension fork. I imagine many people will be looking at all the optional accessories for the RadRunner, so be sure to check out the RadRunner Plus as well because it comes fully outfitted for passengers, includes fenders, the LCD screen, gears, front suspension, and even the premium headlight. Again, if you're planning to purchase a Rad Power Bike, please consider clicking that link in the description. It doesn't cost you anything and keeps eBike Escape reviewing electric bikes like the RadRunner 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.